rare, unfortunately. So it's so exciting, and it's an honor to be having this conversation with you today.
Thank you so much. And for folks that are watching, I want to welcome your questions and your comments on the chat, and we will bring those in as they come. And also share with you how are you celebrating Earth Day and other little details. But let's begin first with I want to talk about your journey and how you got here and how you got to be to lead your company and to the work that you do.
Yeah, so again, my name is Ariel. Fan for the new friends that are joining this stream. I'm the founder and CEO of GreenWealth Energy, and we're proud to be the first woman and minority-owned EV charging company in the entire state of California as certified. When I started the first green club on my campus, and I was known as Plastic Bag Girl because in front of our school dining hall, I would set up a table every single week and collect everyone's plastic bags to recycle, and that was before it was cool. And from then, at 13 years old, I went on to study environmental policy in New York, and within the clean energy space, actually got my first job as a door-to-door free LED lighting salesperson in the streets of Manhattan. So
wow.
I had an interest specifically in greening buildings, and so I responded to a Craigslist ad and ended up going door-to-door selling utility rebated LED lighting programs to small businesses.
That's incredible.
Thank you. And fast forward a couple of years after that, I found myself in multiple consulting roles helping public agencies such as the New York State Housing Authority, as well as some private companies here in California, go green and develop energy efficiency programs. And I became the energy manager of a 60 hotel portfolio. And in that capacity, this was several years ago when green was not such a hot thing, or was not so mainstream. They're like, okay, do your cute little green projects. And so I just went for it. I did lighting, solar, EV, HVAC, different renewable projects.
And this is when you were working for a company. So basically, hold on, let me just get this straight because this story is so precious in so many ways. So you, and for people that are in the audience, please, I want to see all the reactions because I feel like this is incredible in so many ways. So basically, you saw an ad on Craigslist about go sell, renewable energy programs, and you took it on, and then you went door to door in Manhattan and in New York to basically tell people, hey, I can fix your lighting and you can save money. I guess my question to you is, and I love to hear also, that you were in your environmental club in your school, and I started my career also. I founded the first environmental club in my school at age 11. And I guess what I want to ask you is, where do you think that comes from? Like your love for this specific work? Because a lot of people, when they think about the planet and when they think about Earth Day, it's kind of all about the trees or like the parks. So it feels very green, but we don't think about like waste, for example, or energy consumption or reducing energy consumption, which is also a world that I have been part of for a really long time. I'm like in the world of energy, which is why also so excited to see you, because it's not a lot of us women in energy. So, or women of color in energy. So where do you think that passion came from?
Interesting thing, because I think people see when you think you're a little girl or you're just learning about environmental issues for the first time, whether you're in middle school and you're in high school, there's something that resonates that, at least to me, it felt like, isn't this obvious? And I thought it was like, this is so obvious that we should be paying attention to such things such as sustainability, such as reducing our waste. But just in talking with people, I realized it wasn't so obvious with people. So then I think that's what inspired me specifically to get into advocacy, to do these clubs. And now, like you, I'm also involved with a lot of political advocacy efforts and representing marginalized voices, particularly with climate change. A lot of people have awareness of. Further drive home the fact that these are very important issues.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I attribute my love for the environment, and I welcome people in the audience to also add why you cared about the planet in the comments, and just share with us why do you think this is important for you. But to me, I grew up in a place where, the environment is part of our DNA. We really take care of our, like, it's very park friendly, it's very trees friendly. We really value nature. It's like like my aunt, I go visit home. I'm from Colombia, and she always says like, "Oh, if you're gonna go out to the river, to swim or things like that, make sure you hug the trees, you thank them, you talk to them." I mean, like, so I kind of grew up with that, and like, we're not your typical tree hugger, right? Like the tree huggers that you think here. But I attribute much of my love and my commitment to protect our environment to my family, because they put those values and in me. So that was important to me. So I also lived in Manhattan. I lived also in New York for a really long time. I went to school there. So I want to hear a little bit of like your relationship with nature, and how was that for like you, the city girl. And I don't know if you maybe were from Queens or Brooklyn or what part of New York, but you should walk us through that experience of like what was like for you to live in an urban setting, in an urban city, and protect the environment in this way.
Yeah. So I must say, I'm born and raised in Angelino, but I did have 5 years in Manhattan. So I think part of my DNA is a Manhattan girl now. I think you touched on something, which is the urban environment. So I want to take a few steps back and just the idea of nature and the story that you shared about being from Colombia and hugging the trees. I feel like there's something culturally about being connected to the land and feeling the nature in that way that is like a deep resonance within people that unfortunately in urban environments I think gets lost, because just our day-to-day does not really involve being so connected. This past week, actually, I took a girlfriend's trip out to Santa Fe, and we were in New Mexico driving around the environment, and we saw the mountains and the hills. And when you're just in nature, in that, like, breathing that air, and you're seeing the animals and the trees and the sunset and the sunrise, there's something that really connects you to that land and makes you also responsible and part of it. I would say the urban environment, particularly in Manhattan, it was those nature around there, and it's not like, oh, go people going through the subway, people being in their office, people being indoors. You kind of lose that sense of touch in a way. And in specifically New York, and what led to the formation of my business, we really had to not only drive home environmental solutions as being a good part of the planet, but also a good part for business and creation of jobs, and help businesses bottom line. And so as I got into the field of building efficiency, the point is how to get people to pay attention to the environment. It is all the things that we value, and we all know that matter to us, but we have to learn to speak other people's language to make modern business adapt to also understand that these values are important.
Yeah. And so you have been a big advocate on equal opportunity, and especially on the green space. And I would love for you to talk more about how that looks like and why you took that on. You know, like I said, there is only a few of us in the energy space, especially on this niche of like renewables and EV infrastructure. And like, I mean, it's a very male dominated world, and it's a very white male dominated world that we moved in, or that we kind of navigate. So tell us uh, why you started GreenWealth. What was your idea about because I feel like it's almost equity. I know that we call it equal opportunity, so like everybody has a chance, right? And like we can all be a part of it. But what's been your experience, and tell us a little bit about your company and how it was actually born. So you went from like door to door salesperson to, you know, founding, you know, your company here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, so I'm so happy to tell this story. So went door to door, was on the building side for a while, developing green projects. Uh, then something miraculous kind of happened when I was in my early 20s. In doing green projects with my head down, just not having no staff, just me as a consultant, I was recognized by Southern California Edison as their energy partner of the year, because me as an individual received more clean energy rebates for my customers and my clients than any other business customer. And so that's among 15 million business customers within SCE territory. And in doing so, I became not only the youngest recipient of the award, but I realized they allowed me to speak in front of their leadership and get involved with advisory panels, because they noticed there was a gap. They said, we have all these incentives, but it's not getting back into the community. And what is it that we're doing wrong? And I think that's where the equity piece was. And in doing such projects, the sad truth of it is I saw that the wealthy and the biggest companies got the majority bulk of the rebates, and honestly, small businesses were left behind. And so that's ultimately why I started GreenWealth and the thesis behind GreenWealth. So GreenWealth means that communities cannot truly be wealthy until everybody is wealthy. And that's environmental wealth, environmental conservation, but also equal opportunity to small businesses and low income communities, because we're all one in that way. And it just, the way that the system is built, policymakers cannot create programs and have policies that incentivize some people to flourish while leaving others out. In our work right now with GreenWealth, we've had the pleasure with partnering with ChargePoint, which is one of the leading EV charging companies, and with ChargePoint. That's the bulk of our business. We meet with buildings, we help them design and also build EV charging stations, and we get all the incentives to support them. So in doing so, I've had a huge opportunity to face some of the inequities in the space. We've now surveyed and worked with over 300 property owners within Southern California. Properties such as the highest office buildings, the most beautiful office buildings in Beverly Hills and Westwood, to low-income communities in the Valley. And I can honestly tell you, it's so unfair the way the system is, because you have these large developers who have they have access to information. They have a chief sustainability officer. They have all these resources to them that allow them first access and or the small have access to the same tools that maybe bigger companies do. So
Absolutely.
There's also another part of that is, unfortunately, infrastructure. So within dense urban communities, let's say in like prime central downtown LA, you have the electric grid that has all the bells and whistles, and it's working great because they are required to.
And it's a lot newer because it's updated, because it's just in the right zip code.
Exactly, the right zip code. And as you go further out, particularly in these disadvantaged and low income communities, a lot of the time the grid is not a lot of inequities at play here, that we just need to consider and we need to talk about, because frankly, the EV manufacturers and the policymakers, they don't know that these inequities exist. EV charging and clean energy space is so new to our urban history. It is so new, and the we have an opportunity now that social issues, equity issues, women, small business issues, people of color issues are now at the center of what people care about.
Environmental justice, yeah.
Exactly. We have a huge opportunity to bring our thoughts and brain power to the table to help policymakers make the best decisions.
Awesome. Thank you. We're talking to Ariel Fun. She's the CEO of GreenWealth Energy. She is also a renewable energy advisor and advocate. And what I there's so many things that I want to like come back and talk about more. One of the things that you mentioned is the gap between all of the resources that are out there and our people, like our communities. You know, like I'm a like Latina, Latinx, the Colombia immigrant, and you represent, you know, your own community, but the huge gap in rebates in programs is that a lot of companies like the LADWP, the SCEs of the world, like all of these institutions that create incentives for everyday people don't take advantage of them because they don't even know it's happening. I mean, we saw this, you know, I helped design the Solar for Renters program. I'm a renter. That was important to me. And it's been super hard to get renters to adopt to this because they don't know, and also they don't have a trusted partner that they can say, oh yeah, this is something that is going to help me. I know her, or I know them, or I know this company, and it makes it like super hard to like be successful. So and you also talked about small businesses, which I think is a huge problem that we have in the procurement process in all of these agencies. So like DWP, which is a public utility, it belongs to all the Angelinos, you know, everybody that pays the bill, DWP is yours too. And yet we have failed to really include a lot of small businesses that should be, you know, included in like the work of reaching out to communities. So we have so much more work to do when it comes to community outreach and speaking to people in their own language, and not just in their own language, but culturally relevant. I mean, somebody was posting here that, you know, they grew up in the LA projects and they never really had open space or parks, you know, but they still learn the love of you know, of nature through their parents. And I pinned that comment in here, at least on Instagram. But I want you to talk about in your own words, because you are a small business owner, you are a minority owned you know, business, you're a women owned business, and there is definitely a trend right now that some, you know, that companies want to support those projects, like those companies. No questions. How hard is for somebody like us to really make it in this world and really bring resources to our people, which is ultimately our ethos, like our, it's part of our values. It's like why we do this work. So how hard is to connect those resources with like the people that really need them, and also have a company as a minority owned business?
Oh my gosh. I love this question. I love this question. I'm so happy that you asked it. Um, all right, let me paint you the picture of my first year at GreenWealth. So before we did charging, we started as specialists in LED lighting. And this is right when GreenWealth was started. I had just incorporated the company. It was me, and I recruited my best friend from high school to join me and be my assistant. And I, with my own money, we didn't have any clients at that products and me in the US, as a young woman too. I said, look, I represent this portfolio of hotels I'd like to buy. And they're like, oh, please wait here. And they had me just waiting there. And I swear people, the feeling that I had was, I don't want to say invisible, but just they saw me, but they dismissed me immediately. And I, for women, as you're starting up, it's really important to establish your presence and make yourself known, because our tendency is like to accommodate and react towards how other people treat us. Exactly.
That's patriarchy. I want to just hold on one second. I'm sorry to interrupt, Ariel, but that's how patriarchy shows up on everyday life, people. Like, I mean, we're telling you, like, our experiences. This is what happens, that you show up being somebody that not only has the experience, but has the willingness, and still you don't get your even like chance to be treated as equal as everybody else. So please go on. I just wanted to make the emphasis that this is what patriarchy looks like. This is how patriarchy looks
like. Completely. You're there, they see you, but they don't really see you, because what they see is this person is not valuable to me, or is not capable of helping me reach my goals. And the only way, unfortunately, in this current environment, women have to prove themselves. And that's just with history. I guess whatever, fine. You just have to keep working harder than everybody else. And once you have a little bit, you have to show it. You have to broadcast it. You have to market yourselves. We have to be our own marketers. I think part of the strength now with GreenWealth and and building your network in a way. Because I know that you're frankly, I went through a lot of therapy in order to get to this place, because now that GreenWealth is 4 years old, around the 2-year mark, I felt a lot of the family pressures as being like, Taiwanese family background and Asian family background, being like, oh, isn't it time that you find a husband? Or like, oh, is it time
get
that
a real job?
Get a real job. Oh my gosh. Yes. I received the most prestigious award from Edison and was about to do my company. And they said, oh, maybe you can ask them for a job now.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I don't know. Yeah, get a real job. And that, frankly, I knew deep down that was holding me back from who I wanted to be. And ways that it affected me, aside from my confidence, is I wouldn't pursue clients, or I wouldn't pursue partnerships, because I just think I wasn't really good enough. They probably have other people. Oh, well, when I can probably have a good first meeting, but by the time I get to the final meeting, it's going to be all these men. And I know all of these other male-run companies are more established than me. Surprise, this past COVID year, I beat out 3 other male-run publicly traded companies to win a contract with Disneyland. It's our largest consulting project to date. And that is not because it was shy or I followed some type of template, but I was just very, very bold. And I think as women, especially minority women, we have to take up our space. And we also have to put everything that we can offer up front.
Of course. And it's so ingrained, like from our mothers, our grandmothers, other females and even our friends. Like, I mean, I feel like you and I are in that generation that we're really ready to jump and shine. I want to, if I'm shining bright, and if it's going to hurt, we'll deal with it, because this is what it is. But our parents and like the people that we're kind of being mentored by are not like us. They're more like, don't rock the boat. Look how far you're gone. Look, you're making a good salary. Look, and it's a really contrast of generational contrast. And I agree with you. I have been 100% working so hard on being truly who I am. and like 100%. And I ran for office, and you were like such a great supporter, and I want to like thank you so much for that. Because when I ran for office, in so many ways, I was asked to conform, to be like everybody else so that I could compete.
Wow.
And I was like, there is no way. That's not me. And this is not how we're going to change the world. And I'm constantly in almost every space that I move in, whether I'm on the board or, of a nonprofit organization, I'm with my pack, I'm with, like I'm constantly saying, we cannot play small and we cannot dream like small either. We need to dream big, and we need to like go big or go home, because we don't have time. And especially when it comes to the environment, I'm constantly telling people, like, what is it that we're waiting for, or what other like report do we need, or how else? I'm like, why are you so scared? Like, I'm just constantly confronting that. And I feel like that's what you and I, people like us, have to endure all the time in our regular life, even I mean, of course, in the workplace, but even in other spaces where, I was often, when I was a commissioner for LADWP, I was often asked to go to conferences, and then I was like, hold on, I'm the subject matter expert here. And I was like, had to like say that and tell people, like, I'm not asking for your opinion because I'm the expert here. And like, I had to get to that place because otherwise I would just get a step all over. And because I was often the youngest, I really hope that for people that are watching here, this is just like what we have to go through as women. And I'm sure all the women that are watching can relate one way or another, but especially in our world, in the world of energy, in the world where we are beating fossil fuels every day with the projects that we do, it's really complicated, and it's really hard, and it's hard to navigate.
Wow. I'm not surprised to hear you say all of those things, but I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, because I know what these utility landscapes are like, and I can just imagine you are at the boardroom, like, like you don't get to where you are by letting people step over you and just staying quiet.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's something that you also went through with your company, and try to get the point across. And it's just so disrespectful. And I hope that this Earth Day, if we can take anything away from this conversation, is support more women, give them the space, and like understand that for us to get where we want to be, we needed to work 3 times harder, maybe even more. We needed to be more knowledgeable. We need, I mean, even if, I mean, we still make less money than men, and we still have to work extra hard for it. So I really hope that whoever is listening in this conversation, go out there and support other women doing the work. And that comes in so many ways. So it comes in so many ways. So tell us about, like, what is cutting edge? We just, a couple of weeks ago, we just heard Mayor Garcetti said we have a plan to get to 100% renewables. I'm super excited because this was possible because of Angelinos that fought and worked so hard to make this a reality. So how is your work going to help us get there?
Yeah. So I guess I would love your support with going over the LA 100 plan again. My attention mostly has been at the state level and federal level at the moment, so I can start big, and then maybe you can fill in some of the space on the local side.
Yes.
I was aside from GreenWealth, I am the LA chapter director for E2 Environmental Entrepreneurs, and it's the clean energy advocacy arm of the Natural Resources Defense Council. And with this group of about 10,000 business leaders, we advocate to Congress, to California state legislators, and also local legislators to make them aware of the clean energy policies that are important, but also the equity side of it too. So right now, Biden just came out with the $2 trillion infrastructure bill, about $174 billion, which is dedicated towards electric vehicles and also their chargers. This is going to go to point of sale incentives for the vehicles themselves, charging programs administered by local regions, utilities, incentives for the charging stations, R&D for new products within this space to develop, and technologies and networks. And to give you some idea of how California fits in that, California has its own goal to have 250,000 electric vehicles on the road by 2025, which is crazy because we today in the state of California have somewhere between 25,000 to 50,000. And 2025 is now less than 5 years away. And so we have an ambitious plan to 5x the number of chargers and vehicles on the road. This is within the state of California. Within the country, Los Angeles is the number one EV, has the number one electric vehicle density in any other city. And within LA, Angelenos, they are progressive, they're socially minded, and they all drive EVs. There's also a huge amount of leadership and I think responsibility for the LA community to be the example of what can the EV industry and clean energy industry become as the country moves forward, not even just the state. The state has over 50% of all the electric vehicles within the US, and LA is the huge bulk of that. And so it's about not only serving Angelenos' needs, but also thinking about what lessons can we learn, and what lessons and leadership can we have within the LA community as we do this clean energy future, as we look at mobility, electric mobility, and be able to be the example that a lot of other cities learn from.
And there's definitely a wave of folks in my world of advocacy, mostly on Twitter. I hear this a lot, a big bash against EV infrastructure, and not just EV infrastructure, but just EV in general. And I just want to add that the climate emergency is here, and if we want to fight climate change, we have to tackle this issue in all fronts. We have to plant trees. We have to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So our source of energy needs to be from a clean, source. We need to, consume less in general. We need to, go back to practices of growing food practices that are more sustainable. And we also need to use cars that are not polluting our air. So let me just say that, because a lot of people say, well, we need to bike more and we need to take more public transit. And that is absolutely true. But for people that are commuting 30 miles outside of Los Angeles to come and work here, and the pandemic was really instrumental on changing that a little bit because we were working from home. So we really saw emissions go down. For them, for people that live in rural areas, and here it is for my Amazon lovers that are watching, or the people that are ordering all your food from Amazon, this and that, fresh, and whatever other services that you have. Those trucks that are coming and going are one of the biggest issues in terms of pollution. So unless we find a way to turn them into a no emission car, we're going to have pollution forever. And unfortunately, people of color, indigenous people, low-income people are the ones that are most affected by climate change and by pollution. They're living those areas where there's the most pollution. So this is why it's so important for electrical vehicles and electrical vehicle infrastructure to be accessible in those places too. Because I was at a meeting not long ago and somebody said, well, we don't know if in South LA, a lot of people have electrical vehicles, cars. So we don't know if we should put a lot of infrastructure there. And I said, we need to put infrastructure there.
Gosh.
Because like one of the things that they're doing at DWP is go get your used EV car, guys, your electrical vehicle car if you live in the LA DWP territory, because DWP is giving a little bit of money if you buy a used car. Because they know that not a lot of us are going to be able to buy a Tesla or whatever, a Lyft or all these other like electrical vehicle cars. CARB, the California Air Resource Board, has money for you. the federal, state, and then you start adding those up, and you can get up to $5,000 off of your car when you buy an electrical vehicle car. So it's really becoming more accessible for low-income people and for people that usually wouldn't have a car. But unfortunately, we're not at a place or at a system in our society where we're just not going to rely on cars. We just need, like, some people are going to need cars, and therefore we're going to need to make sure that if they're going to use cars, that at least they don't emit, they don't have emissions, and that they have the infrastructure. So what's been your experience in terms of equity on the work that you do? So like deploying projects where people need it the most, and where actually there is more areas of pollution, or what we call in the California Enviro Screen, areas.
Yeah. So our GreenWealth journey of equity. So as California's first woman and minority-owned EV charging company, we fortunately there is a responsibility here to be an example, and you don't want to mess up, because you don't want somebody pointing at you, oh, of course, a woman, or oh, there's another, that young person, of course, like she wasn't going to get that far. And so there is that pressure to it. So we want to walk the walk. Not only are we, our team is majority people of color, and diverse in ethnicity, and also diverse in age. We want to walk the walk, and we hire specifically small businesses within our community. We hire small business and local contractors, electricians, engineers. When there's an opportunity to procure from a woman-owned business, even if it's a little bit more, we will, because you vote with your dollars, you make decisions, and you influence the economy with the way that you spend money, especially as a business, if you have buying power in that way. Mm-hmm. Separately from that, we're actually starting a new program. I'm really proud to say that it's in the works with GreenWealth, together with some different charging OEM partners. And we're going to larger companies like ChargePoint and a few other charging companies. We're going, look, we know that you haven't really been in disadvantaged communities very often. So they're called DACs. And they're, as you mentioned, Cal Enviro screens, specifically designated areas where pollution is the highest and also income is the lowest. We said, look, what do you feel about if GreenWealth does the legwork? We're going to put our money and resources in here to talk to the stakeholders and buildings in these areas and the developers in these areas. We know that it's not traditional, and you haven't really been developing projects here because, frankly, these people need a lot more education. These communities need a lot more empathy. They need a lot of resources that traditionally the resources have not really been there. We need to spend a lot of time to educate the community, to bring all the information to them. And so far, we're still in the works, but they're all saying, oh my gosh, if you are wanting to take the lead on this, yes, please, because unfortunately, this is kind of a gap that a lot of the larger companies, they recognize, oh, this is important, but nobody's really doing anything. Or it's like, oh, eventually we will be doing something. But personally, as you know, GreenWealth, we had our office in downtown LA for a long time. I've lived in Los Angeles like my whole life. It's important. It's like in our hearts. And as a business, I can't, in my good conscience, continue to serve the largest real estate companies in the entire US again and again and again. Like 90% of our customers look like these publicly traded REITs, and yet the small businesses out in the low income areas, they can't afford our services. And plus our partners don't really have that much support to go support them. I feel like there needs to be particular attention and incentives and resources and people put to serve these communities, because otherwise, frankly, the rich will continue to serve the rich. And it's unfortunately just the way that the system is built, but we're actively trying to fight back against how the system is, to bring resources based on our voice and what we have within our network.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what equity really means, or how it looks like. And we see it over and over in so many well-intended programs that get developed, but they don't really reach its goal because it's not thought out in a way that is really going to benefit people that are so far behind from benefiting from what, from the different programs that are out there. And I mean, we definitely see a bigger consciousness around these issues. And at least when I was a commissioner for LADWP, we had the the equity metrics, which kind of measure socioeconomics, gender, and so many other things for us to deploy programs, employ people, and so many things. And this was a tool that was created to really empower people to make DWP accountable, which is something that it doesn't really happen often as an energy provider that they are. So, okay, well, it's Earth Day, and I'm wondering what are your this Earth Day or this Earth year. And I just want to say that Earth Day is every day, guys, and I hope that this is clear. But I'm wondering if you have three tips or three things that you want our audience to take away from our conversation, or something that they can think about this Earth Day.
So think about 3 things to think about this Earth Day.
Yes.
Number 1, Earth Day is every day. As you said, you should be doing these things every day. You should be thinking about the Earth every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Mother's Day is once a year, and so you love your mom one day a year. It's every day. And the only way that we reach these goals that we do celebrate on Earth Day is if you think about specifically what you as an individual can do.
Mm-hmm.
What can you do with your waste? How can you buy local instead of buying from Amazon? Think about how far that package has traveled.
Yep.
Think about when you use disposable plastics, single-use plastics, cutlery. Think about when you use styrofoam, or when you can use a reusable cup. Very simple things like that. I think with the Instagram and social media era and technology era, people keep trying to find new things. Everybody knows what to do. It's just a matter of doing it. So I think that's the number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2 is you vote with your dollars. It's not about donating to environmental nonprofits a couple times a year, though that's really great. But everything you buy, whether you buy organic, you buy non-GMO, you buy to support the local farmer, this is all part of macro and also microeconomics, and you support and you allow things to flourish based on what you spend money on. So please support environmental, sustainable, and socially conscious brands. Number 3, I didn't come up with a number 3 yet.
I'll say support small businesses, women-owned businesses that go and shop local, and support companies like yours. Support the work of people that are in the front lines all the time. Follow people that are in the environmental world, and the activists, and the energy, whatever, in the plastics world, that you can get your sources and support them. Because I'm often really amazed to see in the world of social media how many followers sometimes, how many people all these other organizations have, and in comparison to the people of color organizations. I'm constantly amazed. There was a moment where I wanted to do a post about making the comparison with the people that are doing the work and versus other people that are doing the work but that are not in the front lines. And if anything, I want to give you with that third part, please go and support your front line activists, your person that is out there putting their skin in the game, that are really making sure that other things are seen, and not just the glamour and the fun and the pictures that are so beautiful. So I encourage you to, as a third practice for this Earth Day, to go out there and find those people of color that like need so much support and amplification right now. So I think that those are like the three that that I will endorse for this Earth Day. So I want to just ask if anybody has any questions from the audience. If you guys want to, oh, I see the fires and I see the hands, and it's exciting, this Earth Day. So if you guys are have any questions, go ahead and post them in the comments for Ariel or for myself, and just also keep sharing and keep letting us know how are you celebrating this Earth Day. And again, I wanted to invite Ariel Fan, because this is like the untold stories that we don't hear about on Earth Day. You hear about what is that movie now? Conspiracy and such. You hear about Al Gore. You have your regular suspects, but there's so many people fighting climate change and our current climate emergency, and that is important to highlight. Oh, I see somebody saying to go vegan for a day, and I really love that. In fact, I don't buy meat in my home. Like if I want to eat meat, I like eat it, like I got a burger or something like that outside. But I don't usually buy meat in my home. So if you come to my house and if you're a meat eater, bring it yourself, because we don't have meat on here. Okay, let's see. We need eco-femmes like you in elected office. That is right. Earth justice, social justice, racial justice. That's beautiful. Earth Day 2021. Thank you so much for sharing that, Marco Gonzalez. Thank you for sharing that. Wow, that's really great. Beautiful,
Aura,
beautiful.
we have to get this trending. #EcoFemmes.
Yeah. I really like it. Yeah. Good call, Gonzalez. Can you guys give us some advice on what we can do in our daily life to maximize or combat against climate change? Everyday life, little things that we should do. Ariel, go.
Oh, geez. Bring your own bag to the grocery store. It's so easy. So easy. Just keep it in your car. Keep it in the trunk.
Reuse everything, guys. Like every glass, every little container, whether it's my honey or is my coconut oil or whatever it is from Trader Joe's or from the supermarket that is glass, I saved everything. And when I have friends over and I make margaritas, I serve them on those things. Or I have my plants, my plants have babies. I cut, made more babies for my plants. For me and for friends, I also you reuse that. Like the amount of waste, and we didn't get to talk about this. We talked mostly about EV infrastructure and energy, but the amount of waste in the world is really painful to watch. So that take the bus, guys. If you are less than 3 miles, 5 miles, take the bus. It's not that scary. Actually, it's really fun. Like it's okay. You will survive. Take the bus. Bike to the store, bike to, if you have, like, I go to the farmer's market and I bike, and it's less than my farmer's market is less than 3 miles. Advocate for like a good stuff, like advocate for more trees, for more parks. And in order for you to do that, get involved with your local political process, your neighborhood council, your city council. Vote good people to office. Ask them to take the no fossil fuel money pledge. That is like super important. Ask your elected officials, when you are supporting somebody for office, ask them, did you take the no fossil fuel money pledge? And see what they say. That's like really, really important. Some other people are talking about plastic. What else in terms of like EV? Ariel, what would be a tip that people can do every day? Drive an electric vehicle.
Drive an electric vehicle. Consider when you can drive an electric vehicle. Drive less. Carpool.
Yeah.
What else? I think one thing
is great.
Yeah, just my last thing, my one big thing. watch yourself when you are not in front of other people and question, are you making the right decisions? Because at a picnic with many other people, you can be the one that's eco-savvy, but when you're by yourself, every little decision you make, you're at the grocery store, you're at the restaurant, oh, do I get takeout? And do I ask for the plastic bag? Do I ask for the styrofoam boxes? Keep yourself in check. Everybody knows what to do, but 99% of people are not doing it.
Yeah.
And so just think about the things that you can do.
Buy your shampoo and your, buy it like big, right? So like your soap and stuff, like get the gallons. Don't get all these little bottles of like shampoo. It's not good for anyone, guys. Plastic is the worst. The same with water. Can we please stop using bottles of water? Please promise me this Earth Day that you're going to try. Put it in the comments. I want to see who's promising me. Put it in the comments if you're going to promise me that you're going to stop buying these bottles of water. This isn't good for anyone. It's not good. Don't support that. Yes. Buy in bulk. Stop that. Excellent. Yes, avoid air travel. And that's hard for some of us that have to go to the East Coast and do all of that. Thank you for your promise. But just kind of like pack it all in and try to travel less. Take the bus. We talked about taking the bus. Yes. Support sustainable living. Places that are close to public transit and such. I mean, there is so much money. Like, go and donate $5 to your favorite park. They need it so much. And you know what? Grab a couple of neighbors and go and clean up your local park, which is also something that is really, really great to do. Yep. So we're coming to an end. Keep up the comments, friends. What are you doing this Earth Day? That your personal responsibility, but let's not lose sight that this problem and on Earth Day, we need to continue beating the largest and most powerful industry in the world, which is the fossil fuel industry. And that only is going to happen if we work together. So I encourage you to go to my profile and check the video that I just released, dedicating it to everyone, all of you guys that have worked so hard to get LA to 100% renewable and that beat the fossil fuel. You should all be so proud of yourselves today. So any last thoughts on Earth Day, Ariel?
I'm reading the comments and everybody's just so awesome. Everyone just has the fire. Like, we see you guys. We're reading these comments, and what has this past year and a half has taught us is people have power. Social media is power, and community organizing is power. Biden's elected to office now. LA is going 100% renewable. It's incredible. There's a nationwide plan to bring in 500,000 electric vehicles in the entire country. Who would have thought 2 years ago that any of this would have been possible, or 10 years ago? And it's all because of people who care and have organized for a really long time and push and make their voice heard. And so please keep supporting your elected officials and leaders in your communities that are speaking up, and everyone keep shining on, because it really, really matters.
That's right. Okay, happy Earth Day. I feel like we need a happy dance. So if there is any Earth Day parties, hit me up, people. I'm ready to dance and celebrate more Earth Day. Thank you, Ariel, so much for joining us today and for sharing your knowledge, your passion, your story that is so valuable. And please keep taking space, keep shining. We need more people like you in our industry and just everywhere.
Thank you. Same too. Power women, power people of color in the clean energy industry.
That's true. What was it? Eco-femmes. Okay, we're gonna have to get that trending for sure. Eco-femmes. All right, everyone. Thank you, Ariel. And we'll talk very soon. Happy Earth Day, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on the next Auda's VTH very soon. Happy Earth Day, everyone. Bye.